This is what we call a generalist career path based on the post. There are clerks in every government agency. The entry level is actually in the first column. You would see the clerk, which is C4, that is the entry level for clerk, and they would move upon promotion to senior clerk, scale C3, chief clerk, scale 2. And laterally, across from these posts, you would see under secretarial and registry where the other persons, depending on which career path you wish to follow, if you want to be a secretary, that is the post under scale. Similarly, with the registry, that is the post under scale. Once you have completed or reached as far as a chief clerk, you would have to do a clerical, secretarial, and registry assessment exercise. So it's a several weeks training where you would be exposed to further information to assist you in your advancement to the next level. Here is the requirement for the clerical scale. Again, we have clerks, accounts clerks, registry clerks, secretarial. The minimum requirement at this level, entry clerk, scale C4, is 2 BGCSE, and that's the Bahamas General Certificate of Secondary Education subjects at grade C or equivalent. Or you can have a Pitman Stage 2 in at that level, which is equivalent to the BGCSE. It must have an English language, and if you do not have an English language at the BGCSE level, you can have the English language at a BJC level, but of course you must have 2 BGCSE. If the BGCSE is not in English, you can have one of the BJC at English. After 2 years, you would be eligible for promotion. And so you would have the same qualifications, but you would now have 2 years experience to be eligible for promotion. Or if you have an associate degree, you only need to be in your post for 1 year. But I must advise that the clerk or the clerical scale, the promotion exercise is based on a call letter or call circular from the Ministry of Public Service. This is not an automatic after 2 years you can be promoted. The public service must have approval from Cabinet Office to do what we consider a service-wide exercise for clerical persons. We spoke about the senior clerk. This is the next level or the highest level in the clerical scale, which is the chief clerk, scale C2. Again, it's the same 2 BGCSE at grade C and above or equivalent, which is the Pitman Stage 2. And then you must have 2 years experience as a senior clerk. So as a clerk, to be promoted to a senior clerk, you would have had to been a clerk for 2 years to go to senior clerk. To go to chief clerk, you would have to be a senior clerk for 2 years to be promoted to chief clerk. And of course, if you are a senior clerk with an associate degree, you only need to qualify by having 1 year experience as a senior clerk. After you would have reached the level of a chief clerk, the next scales is called the executive grade. You would have had to be successful in the clerical assessment exercise, and then you can get promoted into the executive scales. We have the executive officer, which comes from the just post of clerk, and then we have the executive secretary. So if you were a private secretary as a clerk or a senior private secretary in the clerical scale, and you wish to further continue your movement in the secretarial scale, you can go to the executive secretary, and of course similarly to the registry scale. So we have the executive officer, which is X3, on par with executive secretary and assistant registry grade 3. Then you get promoted to the senior executive officer, senior executive secretary, assistant registry 2, that is X2. And then we go to chief executive officer, chief executive secretary, registry supervisor, and that scale is X1. Once you have reached the maximum of this grades, there's another assessment exercise, and this is considered the executive level assessment exercise. You move from here to office manager or personal assistant. If you wish to pursue the administrative scale, then you would go to assistant secretary, senior assistant secretary, first assistant secretary, so forth. I invite you, if you're interested in following this scale, to please look online and you would find additional information.